welcome to episode 136 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in rainy Los Angeles, California. Join my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias, drinking tea out of his Geeks mug. Lee, how are you doing today, my friend?
Ray, I have two mugs. For those of you listening, I have two mugs. One has a tea bag in it. The other does not. It's a child-friendly show, so that's all I'm going to say. But hot and cold, positive, negative. I got a little of both worlds tonight. One to keep the vocal cords nice and clean like molasses. The other one to keep the brain spry and sleepy. Follow us the whole episode to find out what you're going to get. But Ray, in all honesty, I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to the show all week because as we'll get into it, we got a lot of topics. We're just a lot of things about to happen in the geek universe and the sports universe for that matter. Some things have already happened, but we're on the precipice of a really big kind of 2 weeks here. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. I'm super excited for this episode. I look forward to the show every week. I do a lot of podcasting, Ray, and this is my dessert. I always say it. This is the Applebee's chocolate thing with the lava. Actually, I don't even like that thing. This is just your favorite dessert. I like my apple pie with a little bit of almond whipped cream on it because I'm lactose intolerant. Ray, back to you.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why I'm sluggish today. I had a cup of hot cocoa, and I don't usually do something like that. But actually, a very nice friend, a good friend, sent a gift basket, which is very, very nice. And there was hot cocoa in it.
I didn't send.
So I was like, oh, let me. I know it wasn't you, but I have other friends.
What?
Not many, but I have a few. But no, somebody sent me a gift basket. It was very, very nice.
Whoever that was very nice. I'm glad. That must have made your day.
Yes. No, it did actually. They actually said it came over the weekend, so like most of the gift basket has already been eaten and gone. But the cocoa was the last thing, and I was like, let me try this. I don't usually do cocoa.
Yes,
but
cocoa.
No, for sure. But it definitely kind of just like mellowed me out. But it was it's a rainy day here in LA. It's only 45 degrees out. Can
I give a quick life hack on cocoa?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean we have hard hitting journalism here, but I'm going to unveil something. All right. Now you can actually buy this over the counter now, but if you want something really good, get some cocoa, hot chocolate, get some Lucky Charms, pluck out the marshmallows.
Oh, do the Lucky Charms marshmallows.
Yes. And then of course I go to the store and Swiss Miss has Lucky Charms cocoa because they, it's genius. Let's be honest about it. But that's a great way to make a cocoa that has a little bit of a little kick to it. They're always after the Lucky Charms, and now you can have them with your cocoa.
There you go.
Sponsored by Geeks Who Like Sports, Lucky Charms, General Mills. Hi.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get cocoa at Dunkin' Donuts. We'd appreciate you guys as a sponsor. You can get it at Starbucks. We'll take you as a sponsor.
Dunkin' would be a great sponsor for us.
I drink it 3 times a week. At least,
yeah, so. Like Starbucks is a little. I mean, I don't know.
Starbucks is fine.
I like Starbucks fine. It's just it's a little expensive, but Dunkin' Donuts.
To me, Starbucks is expensive. It's not.
It is
Dunkin',
expensive.
Look,
a $5 cup of latte, which I do from time to time. I'm not gonna lie. Sure. But it's a treat.
It's a splurge.
It's not an everyday thing for me. It was at one point, Ray, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, no, I hear you. The only part of the reason why I go to the Dunkin' so much is as well. Look at me again with a free plug. Is I have the Dunkin' app and I get the points, and awesome. I probably get a free cup of coffee once every 2 weeks.
What's funny is that at work we have the Starbucks app and we all use it, so we get a free cup of coffee every week for that. But I mean, we're spending plenty to get it. But right. The rewards apps, it's just like credit cards. Make them work for you, and they're going to be great.
Yes, exactly, for sure. Casey just popped in here. Of course, for those of you listening at home, after the fact, we love you and we appreciate you. But we are, as always, live on twitch.tv/Ray Carcillo. So we're going to have chat popping in and out as we go. Also, a very special thank you to everybody. We had a really good week last week here.
We did. Out of nowhere.
We had a big week. Yeah, and we really appreciate it. We hope that maybe it's a lot of folks are traveling right now. Some folks are catching up, or if you're new to the channel or podcast, welcome, and we appreciate you hopping on. And we hope you enjoy what we do. And as always, you can join us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Follow us, comment, like, share, all that stuff. You guys know how to be social, at least on social media. So they are different things. But yeah, so with that, speaking of being social, last week was a great chance for the video game industry to get together. everybody in the game industry got together. It was a big deal. It was the first time that we've been together as a community since the pandemic started. Obviously, it's almost 2 full years. And it was the Game Awards. It was the last year it was all virtual. This year it was in person, again, back at the Microsoft Theater, limited capacity, only 25% capacity. That did not stop many of us from descending downtown LA. If you didn't get a ticket, we watched it together in hotel rooms or at the hotel bar. And then obviously, as soon as the show ended, we all congregated at said bar and continued to drink and be merry. But the show itself was, I'm not going to lie. I think the show itself was disappointing. I'm not going to lie. As a whole, it continues to be less than it was, but it's still a bit on the bloated side. I do appreciate that they've now completely gone the way of, if you are a musical act, you have to play video game music. So it was really cool to see Sting singing video game music and to have Imagine Dragons doing the songs of Supergiant Games, the guys who did Bastion and Pyre and things like that. That was cool. I think it's a really interesting mashup, which we kind of like what we do here. But they, I think that was actually an interesting thing to do it. I still don't think we need that. We don't need the music industry or the movie industry or anybody to validate us. Games is the biggest entertainment medium out there. And if you think I'm wrong, look it up. It is at this point, but I can appreciate folks wanting to get on it. And of course, Jeff Keighley, who's the executive producer / host of the show, is obviously still trying to garner that massive worldwide audience and trying to draw in the casuals as well as the hardcore, which I think he does a good job of doing every year. Because if you look at its streaming numbers on the web. That said, despite being a bit bloated, there was no first party stuff in terms of games. Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo really didn't show up to the awards. A lot of us were hoping for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Some of us were banking on a long shot that maybe Gear 6 would get shown. Sony did show again Horizon Forbidden West, but we knew that was coming. That has a solid release date in March. That doesn't quite count to me. We're talking about like reveals. We're talking about like big surprises, right? Forsaken also got a release date from Sony, but these are things that we knew was coming. In terms of surprises, everything was third party. Some of it really good, in my opinion, and some of it not so much. Lee, before we get into the breakdown, any thoughts from you on the overall show and the feel of everything?
Look, I'm not a fan of award shows to begin with. I'm not usually a fan of how they're done anymore. There was a time when they were great. I think like we talk about with movie theaters, right? They just need to be rethought completely, and how they're being done. But after 2 years, I think it's great that you got to see a lot of people again. I think that was really the key to the evening.
Yes.
And look, the gaming industry in Hollywood are kind of the same. They don't really know their audience that well, do they? At that level. And it is cool to hear that musicians were playing game music, but like, do you want the gimmick of that? Right. I don't know. I don't understand where the gaming industry is going. And I think if they don't figure this out, there are competitors coming. So
well, I think the gaming industry will be fine. I think the Game Awards is still trying to figure it out, because even though it's an award show, we're talking about reveals here. There were more revealed. Again, there's more time spent on reveals. It's a commercial. The show is all about the commercials, folks. It's a lot less about the awards, especially when, as I call it, shotgunning them, where Keighley will just spit out like 5 at a time. It's like, okay, here's best animation, best sound, best JRPG, and just go bum, 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 bum. And I'm like, that's, if you're going to do an award show and you're going to try and highlight some of these games and the creators of these games, shine a spotlight on it. And I get that if you did it the way it currently is, it'd be like a 5-hour show. But then, I don't know, there's got to be some kind of a balance. I actually recommended to some folks talking about it, maybe making it a 2-day event where you kind of split up the announcements and you split up the awards over the course of a couple. Announced on Friday anyway, and some folks were announced the days leading up to the Game Awards. At this point, it's becoming Winter E3, as I'm calling it. And at this point, just officially, in my opinion, expanded into a full-blown convention almost that ends with an awards ceremony, kind of like you see at GDC and DICE and several other places. So That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, it's fair. You're an expert on it, not me.
Thank you. One thing that Sony actually announced the next day, which I really don't care at all about, is that the PS5 is getting colored faceplates. So if you don't want the standard white or black, you can now get pink and blue and green and red. And okay, like how about some more games?
Yeah, I don't understand the accessorizing. I guess people are doing it, or they wouldn't be pushing it, but I don't get it.
There are folks who will probably spend money on it. I am not one of them. I never understood the appeal of stuff like that, but that's me. But yeah, that's something that came out after the awards. Casey says in chat they should just do a year in review celebration rather than something so reward centric. Yeah, I mean, that's a thought. Again, I mean, if you did it like over the course of a few days, you could do something like that. I think that, again, Jeff Keighley desperately wants to be the Oscars of video games, and he's not even the Golden Globes, honestly, because it's too commercialized.
Right.
That said, there were a lot of huge announcements that came out of the show. Again, nothing from the first parties, but kicking things off with Warner Brothers, Monolith Studios, who of course did the last couple of Lord of the Rings games. The last couple of Lord of the Rings games from them. So Shadow of Mordor, and they're the ones who introduced the Nemesis system. And I actually said this with a few friends a while ago, was that this was a breakthrough in gameplay, this Nemesis system, this AI system where enemies can come back and they're more powerful and they remember you. And the question is when are they going to do something with it? A big surprise is that they are doing a Wonder Woman game set on Themyscira, and the Nemesis system will be a huge part of it. I'm guessing that, again, having it set on Themyscira, you could do a lot of Greek mythology, which means kind of almost like a God of War. You could probably do Wonder Woman kind of as like old God of War in that sense. But you have the Nemesis system. So I'm really curious to see what they do with that. But that was a huge announcement. We got other stuff from them, another Suicide Squad trailer. But in terms of surprises, Wonder Woman is getting her time to shine. She is getting a standalone title. It was only a teaser, but it's still a big announcement. And the fact that it's using the Nemesis system. Lee, your thoughts on Wonder Woman?
Well, I think DC has always done better in games than film. And I think that's what they should probably be focused on. Look, you can bet your butt that game is going to be done, I'll say, correctly. And what I mean by that is that, as making Wonder Woman the powerful woman and leader that she is, and not just a side character, right? They've done a lot of good stuff with that in Justice games, and in recent years, they've portrayed her better. But like, if we've learned anything about Wonder Woman over the last 5 years, she can stand on her own. Like, we don't have to keep putting her as a side character or side quest in a major game. In fact, if anything, she's well more interesting than Superman at this point. Obviously Batman is by far the leader, but like in terms of gaming, but like, I'd love to see a God of War level Amazonian quest with Wonder Woman. That sounds awesome. Or maybe an origin story, like, even though we know it, that would be fun. Yeah.
Well, they said it's not an origin story. They said in the trailer that it's Wonder Woman. We don't know how long she's been in America or whatever, but it's basically Hippolyta, her mother, is calling her back to Themyscira and what the threat is or what that is. Awesome, we don't know. Yeah, all we know is it's not an origin story and that it's going to incorporate the Nemesis system.
And cool things too is that like Marvel has kind of figured out. Well, I shouldn't say figured out. Marvel's really testing this kind of half MCU, half comic book universe in gaming. Yeah, the characters are very familiar. They're very familiar, but they're not the characters but they're just familiar enough that you want to play it. We saw that in the Avengers game. You definitely see that in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think DC could actually do a better job with that because the movies are so, but you know what I mean? So they have an opportunity here.
No, for sure. This is definitely a space that they could thrive in, and they have the developers. They've always had the developers, Warner Brothers Interactive. And it's going to be interesting to see if they just put it together. Right. And I guess this is a great start. The game's not going to come out till at least 2023. They also did say that. So we're at least a full year away. But for them to at least tease this means that it's probably further along than we think. And so I would imagine that it's going to be out within 2 years or less,
right?
Is at least their idea. But that's a big deal that they announced it. Super happy. Andrew popped in chat. Are there spoilers to No Way Home out yet? They're probably out there, Andrew, but neither Lee or I have seen them. We were doing a very good job of avoiding them. Of course, we'll get into that later. The Spider-Man No Way Home Hollywood premiere was last night.
This is going to be a spoiler-free zone for what? A week at least. Probably we'll probably go 2 weeks, Ray, just because it will be off the air.
At least because again, we're not going to do we're not going to be doing a show next week. We have a show. We're off next week. So, and we're not seeing both Lee and I are seeing the movie on Friday, but Andrew will get into that. We'll get into that more later. So for sure there, we're not talking, we will touch upon Spider-Man No Way Home, but more in a anticipatory fashion later in the show.
Yes.
So
among
back to the
things.
Video Game Awards. Yes. Amongst other things. Yes.
Yeah.
Back to the Game Awards though. Speaking of things that are anticipated now, Alan Wake 2 was a huge surprise, a huge announcement. We knew Remedy was hinting towards it with their last game, Control, that they were kind of building what we're calling now the Remedyverse, that their last several games are all taking place in the same world. And they've really done a good job of explaining the craziness and the insanity. And if you find certain items in Control, it actually explains what happened in a way to Alan Wake. Smart for them to go back and visit that universe. A lot of folks are super excited. Sam Lake is one of the best writers in video games. Obviously created that universe, also created Max Payne. Like the dude is just brilliant as a writer. And it's been 10 years, 10 proper years since we really visited the Alan Wake storyline. And so this is a great chance. Again, it's a game that's not going to be out for at least probably a full year, I'd imagine. But even just to get that snippet of that minute trailer, I'm super pumped. For me, that was the reveal of the show. That was the big surprise of the show. Even though you probably could have guessed it was coming, super happy, thrilled to see Alan Wake 2 coming. So,
yeah, look, it's a big name. I was a big Max Payne fan back in the day. I'm talking, sure said 2002, 2003. Just, I always loved games that push the limits of what you could do. And, you know, right, I just remember playing that game. And it's like with the, you know, it kind of like with Sands of Time. It's just like, you can slow it down. It's like, I thought I'd never processed before, but Alan Wake is obviously the full evolution of that, you know, to the modern time. So yeah, I can see why you would love that.
Yeah, no, super pumped about that. And then of course we got a lot of licensed stuff, as makes sense. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is getting a game by the same guys who made Friday the 13th, Gun Media. It looks like it's going to be very much a clone of that. It'll be a 4v1 multiplayer, but just set in that universe. You know, good luck to them. The Expanse, which I believe is based on a TV show, is getting a game made by the new Telltale group. For those of you who don't know, Telltale kind of folded and then kind of got like rebuilt from its ashes. This is their first foray back into gaming. Again, doing what they do, which is a licensed product.
There was something there. So those who don't know Telltale, it's very much a story-driven game where you just kind of position the character and the story continues. With some maybe mild, you know, troubleshooting kind of thing, you know, like little riddles and stuff. I enjoy them. They're great for they're great if you love a franchise and you just want the story to continue. So, for example, they made a Back to the Future game that like gamers hated, but I enjoyed it just from the story standpoint. Like I liked hearing the continuation of the story. Totally understand why gamers hated it though, because there's no grinding, there's nothing. You just kind of have to do what it tells you to do. You stay on the tracks.
Right. There was a point though where they kind of figured it out with like The Walking Dead,
right?
And like a few other games that were
Game of Thrones was really good.
I didn't play Game of Thrones. I played Tales from the Borderlands, but the point they did turn a corner at some point where they made both gamers. Yeah.
They found their niche.
And
so I'm looking for a niche depending on where you are. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do because that was very unique, Ray. And like, you know what's funny, Ray, is you know I'm a little bit of a futurist, right? That's totally built for the metaverse. Totally built for the metaverse, especially the early metaverse where you can't have full creative control over everything. But can you imagine if someone says, "Hey, Ray, we're going to put you inside Ghostbusters," and you just have to follow around the story? I mean, it'd be all over that. So if they can figure that out, or Facebook does, I'm sorry, Meta does first, figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see, especially because and coming out in the first half of next year, they said I think Q2. Start some of the former founders of Telltale, who are obviously no longer part of the company, have started their own company called Dramatic Labs. And they're doing a Star Trek game called Star Trek Resurgence in the same way as a Telltale game.
They didn't call it Telltale. They just
no. Dramatic Labs, but they're doing a Star Trek. And I'm going to say this: the Star Trek game looks like it's using a very similar engine, and this has been one of the complaints for many years is that Telltale, you needed a new engine. And I think if anything, the new Telltale going to a different engine with the Expanse, I think is going to be a good thing. I hope that Dramatic Labs gets out of their own way, because if you screw up Star Trek, there's gonna be hell to pay.
The Star Trek gamers, which is mostly a mobile audience, they are serious about Trek, and like they might not be serious about anything else, but they might live in that world. Yeah. So if you mess that up, and look, we've done Trek cons before. Ray and I have done this show on a Trek con before, so
yes,
just we know that audience. They're very passionate. They're also very loyal. People, you don't want to mess with that. That was a great audience, wasn't that, Ray? We had a lot of people on that show.
Yes. Yeah, I'm wondering, and they already said it, like, I don't know if it's going to take place in the movie universe, but it's going to be a similar time period because we've already confirmed an older Spock is in the game. So it's going to be curious to see what happens with Star Trek Resurgence and what they're doing and where it goes. But yeah, that'll come out sooner rather than later.
See what they do with Star Trek in general right now. Like outside Discovery, which is not a bad show. You have Picard, but like film wise, there's really nothing on the table. Just a lot of rumors, and they had a 10 years there. It was like, man, popping everywhere. It's kind of calmed down. Yeah. Looking forward to Picard season 2 though. It's gonna be fun. Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. And of course, one last big licensed game, which was one of the first of the show. And I will admit, the trailer looks amazing. But I'm going to be the bearer of bad news, and I'm going to warn folks right now, do not get excited about Star Wars Eclipse. It looks cool. It sounds cool. But Quantic Dream is the developer, and they are a very hit or miss company. They did Beyond Two Souls, Detroit 2 Human, Heavy Rain. So very similar almost to Telltale. It's kind of more point and click adventure-y. It's going to be more story driven, which could be good. And then you have to hope that Disney will obviously have their fingers in it and really bring the reins in. But if not, if Quantic Dream can kind of go really out there, especially their CEO, David Cage, he's a interesting individual, we'll say. Be careful. I would not get my hopes up if I'm a Star Wars fan. I could be wrong. It could be great because they have done great things before. Right? Yeah.
So let me explain the real danger of this. No, you explained perfectly the real danger of this. This is the truth. This is a High Republic story. The High Republic is very new. It's a very new concept. It's a very new comic book. And I believe they're making a show during that time. So I don't know if it's Kathleen Kennedy or whoever, but someone at Disney / Lucasfilm is going hard into this High Republic era. And they're making comics, video games, and shows about it. So the real danger here is making sure they have a good story that people can buy into. All right. The thing that's always been hard about Star Wars, there's been very few expanded universe games or comics that have found an audience. There's been a few, right? Obviously, Old Republic did really well. There are some Sith Lords that have done really well. But no one knows about the High Republic yet. So I'm really hoping that the story is good and that could lend itself to this game. But to me, that's the real risk here is you're making a game about a lot of unknown characters, a lot of unknown times. In fact, the only character, and you saw this in the trailer, that's around during this time is Yoda, right? And he's a younger Yoda, right? So there's a lot of things there. Right. Can I diverge for a minute? Because something happened to comic books with Star Wars this past week that answers a very, very, very old question.
Yes.
So, and I will explain this to you because I'm the Star Wars super nerd here that would read this. But the question has always been out there, Ray. How did Luke, between Empire and Return of the Jedi, go from basically a brand new Jedi to literally a master Jedi? By Return of the Jedi, he's almost a master. So in that 5-year period, how did it happen? Right? Who taught him? And we've always been left to believe that I guess he just kind of figured it out on his own.
Right. Or he went back to Dagobah maybe for a year or there or something.
Kind of. So he went to another planet And that this is a little convenient, but it actually makes sense. Guess what he finds? He finds a Jedi holocron authored by a High Republic Yoda who bestows all of his Jedi wisdom. So it's Yoda in his prime,
right,
teaching Luke through the holocron, which really does make sense. Again, very convenient, but it's not far-fetched that he would have been able to find this, that Yoda might have led him to it. I mean, there's a lot of conversations we didn't see. So Luke was trained by the strongest version of Yoda there was, which makes me more comfortable believing, okay, now this is how he was able to become a master Jedi by the end of Return of the Jedi. And as we saw in Mandalorian, he is a master Jedi.
Yeah, so, and I think also, like, we know at some point he had to go. I can't remember the name of the planet now, where all the Kyber crystals are from. I think that there is a story where he had to go there. He had to go through the trek, the path to go get a Kyber crystal as much as anybody, like anyone else.
Planet Arc. I thought it was just Kyber, but maybe I'm wrong. Kyber.
No, I think it's a 4. I want to say it's like Holt.
I think you're right. It's Elam.
Kilm.
Okay,
what was it?
Elam.
Elam. Yeah.
ILUM. Now here's another cool thing that happened, and this is more of a conspiracy theory. The ice planet of Elam is where the Kyber crystals. I almost said the holocron. The Kyber crystals are, okay, and there's lots of different types of Kyber. There's the water Kyber, which is blue. The purple Kyber is a little different. That's from a monster that lives on the planet.
It's a super rare one.
Right. There's green, right? So I was reading about the planet Elam because it's made of Kyber, right, which makes it very powerful. Yeah. In Force Awakens, the theory has been brought that Star Killer Base is Elam mined down, and that's how it's able to absorb the sunlight and turn it into basically a gigantic lightsaber.
Okay, that's cool,
isn't it? Right? The Empire mined it down, which was that's a total Empire move. Or the new, I'm sorry, yeah, not the Empire. The Empire was gone.
First Order.
The First Order brutally mined it. I mean, they took out. That's brilliant.
Yeah, one of the most sacred planets in Jedi lore.
And suddenly they didn't steal the Death Star idea; they made it better. So I'm going to put it out here now. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, work that into the Mandalorian somehow.
Yes.
Because it would take them 20 years to mine the planet down to its last atom like that. And then the planet was destroyed, which means now there's a finite amount of lightsabers out there.
That's also a great idea. That's also a great point.
This brings up a point, Ray. And again, I'm sorry to keep diverging. I love Star Wars. We're going to talk about Star Wars a little bit today. This brings up another point, Ray. Right? Mm-hmm. They are positioned here at Lucasfilm to make 7, 8, 9 posthumously a lot better than they were in the theaters.
Yes.
If they can follow through on the Grogu becoming Snoke, if they can follow through on Elam actually becoming Star Killer Base in the future, if they can follow through with a lot of these things, those movies are going to be great. And dare I say it, that they're talking about bringing back some of those characters. I don't know why, but I didn't hate Rey. I just thought it was incomplete.
Yeah.
I didn't hate her. I didn't like the Rey Skywalker. Like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have done
better Force Ghost scene. I didn't like that.
Yeah. It's the truth. It's the truth. So
and here's the sad part. All the Force Jedi, for the most part, still alive. Ghostbusters still doing better. There's very few Force Jedi that are not alive anymore.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure every one of them is. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't get Alec. And they put Alec Guinness in the movie.
Yeah.
Rey?
Yeah.
Because there's a question. She's dying. Rey? Come on, Lucas. Anyway, we'll get to better Star Wars stuff in a little bit.
Yeah. No, for sure. We still got some stuff here for the Game Awards. Most of it, though, transitioning from video games into other stuff. But first, real quick, the last thing about the Game Awards was Game of the Year. I kind of actually predicted this. I went into one of those Twitter spaces with my good friend Andrea Renee before the show and made some predictions, and I kind of called it where I said I wouldn't be surprised if Deathloop got a lot of the, like, I call them not lesser awards, but not the top award, right, which of course is Game of the Year. And that's what happened. Deathloop got, I think, best direction, best art direction. I think it got best sound. Guardians of the Galaxy got best narrative. Right, but then the one game that didn't win anything else was one Game of the Year, and It Takes Two. What? Look, for those of you who don't know, that the 6 games that were Resident Evil, Deathloop, It Takes Two, Ratchet and Clank, Psychonauts 2, and I can't believe now I'm blanking on the last one. There was
the
a
last
sixth
one. Yeah, whatever.
The last one. Yes, I'm so sorry that I forgot the sixth game, everybody. But the reason why, and the sad thing is, It Takes Two for me wasn't even anywhere on my list because it's a co-op only game.
Metroid,
thank you, Metroid Dread. That's right. That's why I forgot about it, because I wasn't a huge fan of Metroid Dread.
The font.
Yes. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you Googling that while I'm ranting.
That's exactly what I did. That's a teamwork right there. I'm not ashamed.
That is what we do.
I'm not acting like I knew it.
That's I vamp, and you fill it in. Yeah. Yeah. Metroid did get Best Action Game, and I'm fine with that. I think it was Best Action. Good for them. It Takes Two was a co-op only experience, and I'm not saying it's not a bad game. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but I think that when you limit it to only co-op experiences, you limit the accessibility for a lot of people, especially us as adults. Now, I understand that like a lot of gaming outlets probably played it because a lot of them are in an office or at least constantly talking. They have their coworkers, and for their job, two people had to probably sit down and play that. Before, whatever reason. And again, like I just, as an adult with a job, it's hard for me to find people to have what ended up being I think it was a 20-hour game for people, but people said, to find someone else to slog through a 20-hour gaming experience with. Casey says one purchase gives you a key to a free copy to encourage others. That's fine, Casey. That's all well. That's all well and good, but again, you'd still need somebody to free up their time. And I think that for me, when you look at what Psychonauts 2 did and what Resident Evil Village did, and again, I did not play It Takes Two, and I admit that, and that I'm coming from a place of ignorance, but I cannot believe that It Takes Two had a better story, that it had better graphics, that it had better sound and acting and writing than these other games that were put out there, beyond the fact that it had the co-op gimmick. And so it is what it is, but yeah, that was a shock to a lot of people. I almost feel like Keeley rigged it just so he could get Joseph Farr as the director on there to go up on stage and say F the Oscars again, like he did 2 years ago, which he did again, by the way. It just feels, I don't know. It feels weird that, and I would love to have seen the final audit of the Game Awards of the 103 video game outlets that voted. And I could also see that because it could have been this year an even field, and you could have had that It Takes Two just had a couple more votes than some of these others, and they all kind of canceled each other out, because I'll admit you didn't have a clear-cut winner this year. Right? Like if I had to choose, like I would have, for me, I'm good at choosing, but like I would have chose Psychonauts 2, but I could also see why some people would have said Resident Evil Village, and why some would have said Ratchet and Clank, and why some would have said Deathloop, although I completely disagree with that. And Casey says in chat, it's fun, but it's not game. It's, it wouldn't say it was game of the year, but it's fun. I'm not denying that it was probably a fun game. I'm not denying that it was a good game. Even though I never played it, I'm sure it had to have been nominated. It had to have been good. But knowing again and again, I just don't trust Jeff Keighley. Honestly, I just wouldn't be surprised if for the spectacle, this got rigged. Like again, because it's not like the Oscars that promises everybody that like this was like, Westinghouse or somebody like privately audited everything. Like it feels, I don't know. It really feels like I would love to see
this is what I'll say. And for those of you listening to the recording, our friend Casey in chat has played this with his wife, and they really love the game. Right. This is what I'll say. In a year of pandemic hell, I can see how that would possibly have a place in people's hearts. Okay. But with that said, we've talked about this show many times. It is a gimmick show to create sales.
Yes.
That's why they hold it when they do. All right.
Yes.
And I'll say that, there's a shock factor here too. Now, if they came out and said, look, this won game of the year because of what was happening in the world and that this was the game we needed right now, people need it in their home. I mean, it's true, but then I could also make a push for Smash Brothers. I mean, not this year, but you know what I'm saying? So maybe that if they justified it that way this year, I can understand, but it's kind of like the Oscars, right? Like all of these shows, this is how I started this segment. They've all lost their luster. They're all fueled by not the right criteria anymore. I don't think the Oscars is about the best film. I think it's about who can make the best political statement. I don't think a lot of award shows are, when I look at film, we talk about, like, let's talk about the Emmys for a minute. Like the last episode of Hawkeye, episode 4 won't get any Emmys, and it deserves one because of writing, music, scene direction, cinematography. It won't win anything because it's a superhero film, and Hollywood just doesn't love superhero films. All right. Yeah. So that's just where I'm at with it. And look, this is what I'm going to say. I'm glad you got to see some of your friends you haven't seen in a while. I really mean that, but that's really why
I went. That was really the point of me going, because like the show itself, I don't like.
I do not rely on awards anymore to decide what I'm going to watch. I mean, look, People's Choice Awards gave Black Widow Picture of the Year. And I hate to break this. It's not the film of the year. Shang-Chi was better. Right. So it's like, and again, look, like that is the People's Choice Awards. You had the same usual spice. There's a Rock win something, that People's Choice, right? But like when it comes to the Oscars or gaming awards, I want the game that has the best story, the best direction, the best everything to win. And I don't know if It Takes Two has that, as you said, Ray. I can only go on what our friend Casey says about it, but it seems a little odd to me, and I think it's a winner due to the circumstances of the time, which is, it's up to you as an audience to decide, is that a fair way to rate a game of the year? I don't have the answer to that. These are all objective or subjective.
I mean, and that's the thing too. Yeah. Again, it's 103 outlets. I'm sure it's not like it swept the voting, I'm sure, but it's just it's just really weird how,
what was your pick of the year, by the way?
Psychonauts 2.
Yeah,
Psychonauts 2.
It's fair.
And it just followed by Resident Evil as number 2. It just
and the thing is too, It Takes Two wasn't the first time a game like that's been released. That's the other thing.
No, that's what the funny thing is, that's what this company specializes in. This company themselves has done this 3 or 4 times already.
I talked about Unravel 2 in the chat. That was a great game, really fun. I actually enjoy watching my wife and son play that together, just to see them playing a game together. But we'll see where that goes. Again, when I read it, Ray's not saying this is a crappy game in any way. It's just curious.
I just would love to find out from folks who voted for it as game of the year why they voted for it as game of the year.
Yeah, well, I think you're gonna get the answer I just said, which is
probably. Yeah, it just So interesting stuff there. A lot of other stuff going on in and around video games. And we got the Sonic 2 trailer from the Game Awards. That looks
great.
That was great. That looks phenomenal. Chaos Emerald, Knuckles. It's Knuckles, Tails. There's a great scene at the end there where Sonic's like, you'll never get my power. And Knuckles, and the first time we hear Idris Elba talk and he sounds great, he's like, who says I need your power? And he's just holding Sonic as he's spinning at him. And it's awesome. Like, it's fantastic. Jim Carrey looks amazing again as Robotnik.
Don't you mean Eggman?
No, Robotnik. And I'm very happy that they called.
I don't know why they changed that in the games. I still don't know why. Is that what they call him in Japan?
I don't know.
Does anybody know?
I always thought it was just a derogatory term for Sonic against Robotnik.
I don't know. It's an awesome
and
name.
It just kind of became like a thing as my good buddy Raymond Padilla just jumped into chat. What's up, Ray? How's it going? Arpad TV. Talking about how Idris Elba rules. He does.
He is awesome. He is awesome.
Yeah. So So there we go. I just realized maybe I shouldn't have said his last name. My buddy Ray's here.
What did you do, Ray?
So
when someone comes into chat, you don't say their last name.
Yeah, no, I know. Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
First time chat. First time to say something here too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate him popping in for a second.
We appreciate all of you. Whether you're here live with us, by the way, as Ray did at the top of the show, if you're kind of new to the show, we got some new listeners this week. We do this live on Twitch most Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Every once in a while, we have the Strange Wednesday. And then after football season, we typically move back to the weekends. But for now, it's on Tuesdays. Thank you for being here.
Correct. It's on Tuesdays right now. And obviously, next week, we're taking a break off. Taking a week off. Next week, we're taking a break for the holidays. So, but yeah, for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Obviously, talking about Sonic 2 looks great. Can't wait. April 8th, that is dropping on my birthday. Huzzah. We also saw a new trailer for the Halo TV series. Master Chief looks phenomenal.
It does.
In a very brief snippet that we got. Ray says, if you guys fight, you say we were on a break. Yeah. Yes, Ray. We will be able to say we were on a break. But
we fight all the time. We fight all the time.
Yes, we're constantly going on breaks.
Like brothers. No, we're not going to break. We just fight, get a sandwich, and we do the show again. That's just how it is.
Yes.
Want to get a sandwich?
Exactly.
Yeah, let's get a sandwich.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Also, some news. We've got Mega Man. This came after the fact. This came out a couple of days ago. Mega Man is supposed to be getting a live action movie at Netflix. And all I'm going to say is if they mess this up, I will burn down the Netflix building.
You and Dave Chappelle.
So, yeah. No, I obviously I'm a huge Mega Man fan. Everybody knows that. If you're not aware, go to my TikTok. I thought it was a very funny TikTok yesterday.
It's top 3 franchises for you, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my.
Ghostbusters number 1. Then probably Mega Man after that, really, and then it's like a tie between 17 other things.
Yeah, but no, Mega Man is, especially in terms of video games, Mega Man is highly up there. So the fact they're doing a live action movie, or that they're at least looking at doing a live action movie, it's not official yet. I'd also like to throw my hat in to play the role of Dr. Light at this age. I think I could pull that off. But yeah, no, I think that cautiously optimistic. Netflix has done a great job of bringing video game stuff to their screen, whether it's the Castlevania anime, whether it's The Witcher, as that dropped a new trailer recently for season 2. Netflix has done a good job of paying respect to video games. I really hope, as video games are becoming a hotter and hotter commodity, as Hollywood has completely run out of ideas. Mega Man is something that is I will say this right now, if it is a bad Mega Man movie, there will be riots. Might just be me and like 3 other guys, but it will be a riot.
Yeah, I don't know if you could pull off Mega Man in live action. I mean, well, okay. I'm going to merge 2 things together here, if that's okay. So we're talking Netflix, right?
Yes.
So Netflix decided this past week to cancel a show that I was really enjoying. Cowboy Bebop. All right. I understand why they canceled it, because it has not, as usual, has nothing to do with the show. All right. They canceled it because it was marketed poorly. They were banking on Cowboy Bebop fans to watch it, which we all did. But get this, Ray, there's not a lot of Cowboy Bebop fans out there. So they again, if you think about the trailers and everything, the trailer one was the show open, which is, if you ever watched Cowboy Bebop, live action version of it, was awesome. Right. And then the trailers were very much like Cowboy Bebop action, Cowboy Bebop action. And like, it's like, well, you guys aren't telling them what this is about. Yeah. And it's like, if you think about it, okay, these are bounty hunters in space in the future in our universe, and they're 3 outlaws. They're cowboys. And, one of them is a former syndicate person who is a bad guy turned good. One of them is this guy who just wants to make some money for his family. And another one who's a woman whose mind was wiped because she was cryo-frozen. And they're all on this adventure together to figure out what life means. Now you got to watch the show the way I just did that.
Yep.
Or you could have just taken the really simple route, which is like, you like Star Wars, Ray?
Yes.
You like Boba Fett, Ray?
Yes.
You'll like this show. And now you're in for at least an episode or 2. Right. So that was the failure on that. I will say that even with it being canceled, it's still phenomenal television. But this is my point. That was a great property that was not marketed correctly. Mega Man's very similar in the sense of, it's out there. It's not it works better as a cartoon, which it did.
Yep. Yes.
And here's the other thing, man. I don't need a live action Mega Man.
No.
And that's the thing I always worry about. Like, did we need another Ghostbusters? Yes. Did we need more Star Wars? Yes.
Yes.
Did we need Sonic? No, but they succeeded.
Yeah.
But that's also hilarious. Are they going to go that way? You can't do Mega Man that way.
No, you can't do Mega Man. Sonic has always had a strong comedic thread throughout it ever since the days of the cartoon. I think Mega Man's kind of serious, and I think that it would have been better if they had said they were doing a Mega Man anime the same way they did a Castlevania anime. I would have been on board. I'd have been excited, right?
Right.
And again, it's not official, right? They're looking at it, they're saying, right? Like, this is something that had been in talks for a while, and now Netflix is the first one to come along and be like, maybe we'll throw some money at this. Supposedly there's been a script around for like 3 years. But if they do greenlight this, if this does go forward, as Ray mentions in chat, Netflix has a quick trigger for better or for worse. If this does go forward and it doesn't do Mega Man justice, it can do a very beloved character who hasn't had a lot of success in recent years, just because Capcom, I don't want to say forgotten about him, but just like hasn't given him the love that he deserves. Mega Man 11 was great, they haven't done anything since. I'm very curious to see where this goes, and I really hope they don't mess it up. And again, like, you're seeing a lot of really beloved video game properties now getting a lot of justice done to it. Again, Halo, at least from what it looks like so far, Castlevania, Witcher. This is going to be interesting to see what side of the line it falls on, because there was also a Resident Evil thing on Netflix that was terrible. So, and Casey mentions in chat he never on anime, he never had a connection to it before the show, so it was hard for him to get involved. But right, that's the thing, Casey. But Lee's talking about, like, he's not necessarily talking about folks like you again, or he is in a way. He's saying it was poorly marketed, right, to you guys, right? It was poorly marketed to folks who never had a connection to the show, and for that show to succeed, it needed to be marketed to, quote unquote, the casuals. So,
well, and also, look, I'll take it a step further, Casey, for your point. Like, Janet watched it, my wife watched, loved it. She never watched Cowboy Bebop. She loved it.
Yeah,
it was good. It was really good. It's just Netflix just dropped the ball, and then kind of add like a punch to the already tight gut punch. The writer died last week of the original show, so you have to watch his show get canceled, and then he dies, which I'm sure they had nothing to do with that. Like, but he died
of a broken heart.
Yeah, well, that would go with the show again. So listen, I've read the manga. I don't know how to say it right. I've read the comic book. I watched the show. I watched the live action. I love Cowboy Bebop. And I still, I never do this, Ray. I never. I still recommend people watch the one season. It was that good. It does leave on a little bit of a cliffhanger. But the nice part is that if you really want to know, you can just watch the anime, because it's taken almost exactly from the anime. The first episode and the first episode of the show, both cartoon and the live action, is the same episode. I mean, it's just really well done.
Yeah. It also did suffer from a bit of controversy online, is that some folks, and again, this is the dangers of social media, some folks didn't even give it a chance and then just immediately started hating on it. There was some of that.
I didn't get that. It was good. Guys, I tell you the truth. It was good. It's fun. If you have time to watch it, it's one of those shows too, Ray. The more you watch, like, the first episode will get you in, but it gets better as it goes, because the character development does one of those, like, it gets bigger and bigger as you go. They don't rush it and stack it all into one episode. In fact, there's very little character development in the first episode. It's just more the Cowboy universe, if you will. But like on episode 8 and 9, like, you're really caring about these characters and like what's going to happen. And I just highly recommend it. And I really hope something turns around, that it comes back. It was that good. I'm upset that it got canceled this quickly.
Oh,
a shame.
Oh, yeah. What are you gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna go on Netflix with you. This Mega Man thing is bad, and Dave Chappelle. We're all gonna go together, arm in arm.
Yes.
And we're gonna go outside and stand there and walk out on Netflix and hope for change.
Yeah, there you go.
We will die there, Ray.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, it is LA. So, yeah, let's see. Ray, we are going to get into wrestling a bit later in the show. Wants to know if there's any predictions between Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson. I think Page wins. I think Page retains. I think they're not going to make him a one and done champion. I think Page will. This is tomorrow. For those who don't know, tomorrow night the AEW World Heavyweight Championship is on the line between the champion Hangman Adam Page and Bryan the American Dragon Danielson. And my prediction is that Hangman retains. You said it. I heard it here right here on the show first. So this way, when the show comes out in 2 days, we'll all know. If you're listening after the fact, you all know if I'm right or wrong. But I'm calling it right now. I say Hangman retains. He's not going to be a one and done champion. He's not a transitional champion. I think they're going to give him at least 2, if not 3, successful title defenses before he does eventually drop the title. And I'm going to say the next champion of AEW is going to be MJF. That's going to be like 6 months from now. That's my prediction. I think they're going to have Hangman be a pretty solid champion. So that's that. Sticking with video games and speaking of television, this was an interesting thing. The last thing that came out of the Game Awards was something that got a lot of hype. I'm kind of more on the fence about it. I'm of course the pessimist. I'm the person who pokes the holes and everything. The Matrix Awakens, a tech demo that is now out on Xbox Series X and PS5. It is a show of power for the Unreal 5 engine from Epic, which is kind of like the industry standard right now. I would say most video games that you see, if they're not a first party or third, if they're not a publisher proprietary engine, like Ubisoft has their Anvil engine, EA uses Frostbite for a lot of things. Everything else, and obviously Nintendo does their own stuff. It's pretty much Unreal or Unity, but mostly Unreal. This tech demo, I will say this, it does a lot for the lighting side of video games. It is going to take it to the next level. It is the first time I mentioned Unity, Ray. I mentioned Unity, but not Unreal beats Unity. Like I want to say Unity like 3-1 in the industry. Unreal games versus Unity games, at least what I play. But I will say this: it's the first time we're really starting to see next gen tech really deliver next gen visuals in some regards, but it still has some issues. And again, it's very early, and I'll say, and this, I've seen Epic and what they can do with tech demos before. They do a great job with tech demos. They worked with Weta Digital to do a virtual reality Lord of the Rings experience, which was amazing and a very small contained thing. It's a demo. It's not a full game. Extrapolating all this out into a full game with missions and story and all this other stuff, I'm curious to see if it can maintain that quality over a larger, more expansive experience. I'm also curious to see, as you see, if you watch the tech demo, that a lot of times the characters, the people look amazing, and the uncanny valley is smaller than it's ever been in this. But when the characters start moving, they start to look more and more like video game characters that we see now, which is still amazing, but you can tell more clearly it's a video game. I think it's good. Obviously, I'm sure Epic got a ton of money from Warner Brothers to continue to promote The Matrix to another audience, as if we all weren't going to watch The Matrix Reloaded anyways. But
you mean Resurrections?
Resurrections, yeah, whatever.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that is Keanu Reeves was on Graham Norton in England and did the same thing, and he got really close to the camera because he was in LA, and he goes, Graham, it's really early here in Los Angeles. He called. It was great because the interview is Graham Norton goes, Keanu, how are you in this film? And Keanu goes, oh yeah, because I'm dead, right? I'm dead in the movie. And he goes, I was talking to the writer. And they said, we got this great script. He goes, yeah, but I'm dead. And then the director goes, but are you? And that's how it drew. That's how it drew him in. We'll talk about that movie again, but let's talk about the game for a moment. Yeah. Look, I asked Ray to talk about this, and I agree with everything Ray is saying. What I wanted to talk about was that when they can harness this power, I mean, Ray, that city looked real, and you could not tell until someone says this isn't real, or you start navigating the city.
Right.
This is where we're going. I mean, you put that in a 3D environment, right? It's gonna. I mean, we might be in the Matrix. I love when Elon Musk decided to screw with everybody on the planet and was like, "There's a fairly certain good chance that we're all living in a simulation right now." Right?
He's correct, actually.
Yeah, people are freaking out. I was like, that. I mean, but if you had a few $1 billion, you might screw with the planet as well, just to mess around with people. He might be right. We wouldn't know.
I would do that too. I would
of course you would. You would walk around. You would walk around New York just going, "Are you a god?" And if they said no, you would tase them. You get arrested.
That's a great idea.
You got arrested, and then
I might do that next week.
Yeah, well, your bail is set at $12,000. Am I a god? Yes. Just walk outside, start tasing again. Yeah, I can see you doing that.
Oh,
I can see.
Yeah, but for sure. But no, it looked really, really good. Again, we're gonna get it. You see this with deep fakes now. You see this with vocal technology. You see this with AIs, and we are shrinking the uncanny valley at a somewhat alarming rate, honestly, depending on your thinking and depending on how you feel about all this. And yeah, this is one step closer. What they were able to do with the lighting apparatus in Unreal 5 and how light reflects off of surfaces, it was impressive. It's absolutely impressive.
It's unbelievable.
And if they can make this into a full game, not necessarily the Matrix, but anything, then we'll have something. But I will say this: I've also seen several tech demos end up turning into nothing. So, but it is impressive that, and again, that power is on the systems that are currently out now. If you can find one, I have both. Xbox Series X and PS5, right? That's running on current gen consoles. So that in and of itself is a optimistic point, I think, for all of this. The tech is there. Are the creators.
It's beautiful. And that's all I wanted to say is that, like, it's funny, this is all around the Matrix. We have a mutual friend, Caitlin, who had never seen the Matrix before. I showed it to her the other day. And I was trying to explain to her in 1999, this was the most fantastic thing we had ever seen in our lives cinematically. It was unbelievable. And even the Matrix Online to a point at that time, Ray, that was a big open world game that nothing like that existed. That game lasted a long time before they pulled the plug. Right. Yeah. So the Matrix has always been at the forefront of a lot of this stuff. It makes I'm not surprised that Unreal Engine got involved with this thing, but Matrix kind of leads the way in a lot of this stuff. Now the sequels didn't do that as much, but amazing that they're doing this again, and that the Matrix is continually getting us closer to the actual Matrix.
Yeah.
It has you.
Are you dead? Maybe.
Are you a god?
Yes.
A local man was arrested in New York City yesterday after tasing people dressed up as Gozer, asking them if they're a god. Only 3 people said yes and were given the treats from the man.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
on Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah, I just love that Keanu. When they told Keanu, went back to them and is like, "But I'm dead," and they're like, "Are you?
Are you?
Are you?"
So I saw this visual of you. Someone's like, "Are you a god?" No. Then die. I can see you. And I'm just there with a terror hound suit on next to you, like, get him, Ray. Go get him, Ray.
I like this plan. I'm excited
to be part of it.
Goodness. Yes. Oh, man. Speaking of the Matrix, though, that brings us into a topic. We're going to be on break for at least 1 week. There's a lot of stuff coming out in the next several weeks.
A lot.
Yeah. If we take multiple weeks off, we're going to have some big shows coming back for you. But yeah, we've got Spider-Man No Way Home is this Friday. Both Lee and I are seeing it first thing Friday morning.
Yeah.
We've got Book of Boba Fett coming out on the 29th. We've got Matrix Resurrections a couple days before Christmas. We have Cobra Kai coming out on New Year's Eve. Tons of stuff to be excited about in the next couple of weeks. Lee, what is... Actually, I probably know it's the top of your list.
It's the same for both of us, obviously. So, I mean, Spider-Man is by far number 1. Like, there's...
Yeah, I would say Spider-Man and then probably Boba Fett.
Yeah, okay, look. So, how far ahead are we going? A month or just the next 2 weeks?
let's get to the new year.
Okay.
Let's get to the
Getting to the new year. This is my list. Spider-Man is number 1 by a mile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, not by a mile. Spider-Man's number 1. Right behind it is Book of Boba Fett. Okay. I'm a huge Star Wars guy. That trailer was awesome. Talk about doing trailers the right way. After that, very excited for The Matrix. I was a big Matrix guy when those were coming out. I really enjoyed those films. So outside of that, I mean, Mandalorian's right on the horizon. We got to finish Hawkeye. There's just a lot of stuff coming out here in the next few weeks. And then, we're right on the heels of this is Doctor Strange. There's a good chance that the after credit scene from Spider-Man is going to lead into Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. The hype is real, but yeah, I mean, Ray, what else is coming out? The Witcher's coming out. I'm looking forward to The Witcher. I think that comes out this week, I think. So
is it this week already?
It's soon. If it's not this week, it's next week. So I'm really excited about all these shows. I mean, we've had a little bit of a lull here outside Marvel. The best stuff comes out right now. It lasts a few weeks and we move on. And then there's also like the return of a lot of shows too coming out. But look, let's get into some quick predictions here. Like kind of like a rapid fire round. So Spider-Man: No Way Home. Predicting that brief prediction is that yes, you're going to see Tobey Maguire. You're going to see James Garfield, the president.
Andrew Garfield,
not the president. James Garfield. Andrew Garfield. You're going to see more people that you don't expect that from other films. I think we're just getting a little bit of them. And I think that at the end of the film, Spider-Man will be lost in the multiverse. I do not think he will be in the MCU planet or universe. All right.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And I think good chance Strange goes with him.
Yeah. I mean, early reviews are that it's the greatest Spider-Man ever. It's the greatest Spider-Man film ever. That is the early reviews. That is as much as I've heard about it, thankfully. And by the way, yes, The Witcher 2 is actually dropping Friday as well. It is dropping this Friday.
Excellent.
As well as Spider-Man. So I will say, I think you have to have Maguire. You have to have Toby and Andrew there for sure.
Have to.
Yeah.
No spoilers, by the way. Anybody listening to this, again, do not spoil this for other people. This is when you wait a week, at least.
Yeah. Again, this is anticipatory predictions. I think part of the reason why they only revealed the villains, because there were rumors that Disney didn't want to reveal any of the villains either, but they also didn't want to have nobody at the red carpet. So that was part of the reason why they did some of the reveals.
I think they're lying to us. I think there's so much more to that film that we haven't seen yet, that I'm expecting something big.
Yeah. I think I'm going to say Vulture is the 6th member of the Sinister Six. Sure. And that's the reason why you get a new Goblin look and you get a new Electro look. I think he's going to be the reason his tech, possibly with the Tinkerer that was introduced in the first film. The first Tom Holland film,
that's right.
Homecoming. Yeah, I think that's how you're going to. I think that's how you're going to get a lot of this new tech, a lot of these new looks for these villains, and how that's going to be explained. I think that Spidey will still be in the MCU proper, but that things are going to be broken, and that like basically, him and Doctor Strange is like, we need to fix this. And I think that's going to be interesting. I'm going to say you're also going to get a surprise appearance or reference to Wanda. You're at least going to get a reference to Wanda, I think.
Maybe.
Because we know she's the villain. She's not the villain, but she's a major part of Doctor Strange too. I think you're going to at least get a reference to her. I wouldn't be surprised if they put that breadcrumb in there. But yeah, I'm super pumped. I can't wait. As soon as as soon as it's I can't wait. 10:30 a.m. Friday morning.
Yeah, Ray and I will be talking a lot.
Yeah.
After that, like, did you say that? Did you say that? Oh my God, did you say that? And then we won't talk about it with any of you for 2 weeks.
Yeah. We'll give you a couple. You'll have a couple because of the break. We'll have a couple of weeks till at least after the holiday. So there you go.
Just moving down the line, Witcher 2, real quick. It's going to follow the Witcher 3 video game. I'm pretty sure about that. Mm-hmm. There was nowhere else for them to go. That's exactly where it leaves off. So if you want to read about that, go for it. Matrix. Okay. No idea where this is going, but I'm gonna guess. This is a wild guess that this is actually a prequel. What do I mean by that? Right? It takes place in the future. Obviously, Neo's dead. Look, the Matrix is never ending, right? there's
it resets itself.
It could reset itself. So there's nothing to say that this hasn't happened before, and that this is we know it's a young Morpheus. It's an older Neo, it's an older Trinity. But you guys gotta remember, the Matrix has no rules of when the Matrix can take place. They can make it take place at any time. Right.
Yep.
So it's also possible that Neo's story is self-encompassing, and that the future Neo gives birth to the original Neo, so forth and so on.
Yeah,
and that's why he can see.
I was going to say there could be a point where future Neo meets old Neo, or
right.
young
I
Neo.
think that's going to happen, and I think that film is going to kind of connect everything, and that I don't think there's plans to make more beyond this. We won't know till it's over, but that's my prediction, is that this movie will actually like connect it back to the very beginning, pre-Architect, and we know the Architect is in it. Everyone's young. Everyone's very young. To me, that's kind of the giveaway, right? So we'll see where it goes. Either way, I'm excited about it. If I'm wrong about that, it's not going to be a big deal. They could absolutely push this forward, and it's just the next iteration. And, like it's going to start with Neo being alive, and no one's going to know how. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Mr. Anderson.
Looking forward to it.
Wow.
HBO Max, watching from home.
Yeah. Do you think that what's his name is going to be in it? Agent Smith?
No. I mean, there's agents in it, but I don't think Smith is going to be in it.
Yeah,
no.
well, he is. I mean, he doesn't like to do those types of movies, even though that one made him.
That's what brought it to a whole nother level. But yeah, he's kind of.
He's stopped. I can't remember his name right now.
He's done with the geeks thing. Hugo Weaving.
Thank you. Great actor, by the way.
Yeah. No, terrific. I mean, V for Vendetta. Obviously, Lord of the Rings.
My name is V.
Yeah.
That was a superhero film. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a cameo in this. That's all I'm going to say.
Maybe.
Might be the younger him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That could also be true. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see that for sure. Book of Boba Fett. Obviously, he's taking over Jabba's crime syndicate. He's reestablishing himself in the greater universe. We're also gonna find out, I believe, how he gets out of the Sarlacc pit and what happens to him. I think there's gonna be some flashbacks.
There's gonna
be flashbacks to what.
Yeah. Sorry, Ray. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, there's shots of him immediately after, what happened to him in Return of the Jedi. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Tatooine, if we get to see maybe his reaction to when the second Death Star blows up.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I wouldn't be surprised to see him redoing that scene where he approaches what's her name?
Fennec Shand.
Right. I could totally see that coming back, and I think they'll be sprinkled throughout the show, or they could just do one episode of here's everything that happened to him before. Either way, super excited to see him breathe the guild. Here's another out there prediction, right? In this time period, guess who's still alive? Kira and Han Solo. Right now, I don't think we're going to see Han, but they'd be crazy not to reference him. All right. Yeah. And Kira, who again is from the movie Solo, is in charge of the Red Sun? Black Sun.
Yeah, I think
whatever it is.
One of the suns. It's
Rising Sun. Whatever it is, she's in charge of that crime syndicate. So I would not be shocked if Emilia Clarke makes an appearance in this show.
Yeah, and then they come into the two crime organizations come into conflict.
Or they work together. Yeah, we might see Caesar too. Look, that's something the Bad Batch kind of echoed a little bit. Is his the Faline? I thought
Caesar was dead. The Fallenes for sure, but I'm pretty sure Caesar's dead at this point.
If they follow the book, he would be, but that doesn't.
Right.
They might not follow that.
That's also true.
He's never been introduced in the MCU, and the expanded universe doesn't exist anymore. So they could recreate that character.
They could. Yeah. I don't think they will though. But I think they could.
He has a son too, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Emilia Clarke in that show. It's like a what?
Yeah. So.
Isn't it the Dragon Lady? Yeah. No, it's Kira.
Goodness. And then Cobra Kai, which
that's the other one we didn't talk about big time.
Yeah. Cobra Kai. I mean, there's gonna be a tournament. No, I think Silver is gonna be back. Obviously, I think that.
Well, the way they're doing,
I think he's gonna be. I think.
Yeah, it's Kreese and Silva versus Johnny and Daniel. That's kind of how they're setting it up. Yeah.
Ray says Terry Silver. The years have not been kind to Terry Silver. Yeah, that happens to a lot of us, right?
Well, he's got to be in his 60s at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that he's gonna be hesitant to come back, and then he's going to steal the show. Like, I think it's going to be one of those things. And I think unlike Chosen, they were only there for 2 episodes, I think he will be there throughout the entire season. I think that he'll be brought back by the end of episode 1. He will be fully back in the fold. And Ray says he's only 3 years older than Machio in real life. Well, maybe. I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Machio's still been working though.
Machio's also, Machio. So I mean, here's the thing: Johnny Lawrence is older too. Look, predictions in the show. Obviously, like I said, it's the 2 versus 2. I think you're going to get a rematch. Right. Apparently, we're looking at the adult side of the All Valley tournament, right? Like they clearly fight each other at the tournament. So you're going to see Johnny take on Daniel. I think Johnny's going to win that fight. And it's going to be Johnny versus Kreese we haven't had that match yet. And that's what they've been building towards. So like, let's be honest, people love Johnny more than Daniel in the show. Nobody wants to admit it, but I think Eagle Fang will take on Cobra Kai. From the adult side, I think Daniel will beat Silver. And I think that Johnny will beat Daniel, and then Johnny will beat Kreese to win the show. On the child side, it's tough to predict. I don't know who's going to win what because they're all scattered.
If there is going to be this adult tournament and Johnny wins it, I think Robbie wins the child side, and I think they reunite. I think they try and reunite them.
Remember that Robbie lost in the previous tournament, the 49th tournament, the 50th tournament, whatever it was. I think that's a fair prediction. And then I think at the end, his mom shows up, or somehow Hilary Swank comes out of nowhere to rejoin the Karate Kid, thus making it complete. I really think she's going to be in the show. She hasn't done much lately, and she's part of that universe, and it's another way to make her film a little more impactful. So I don't think there's any characters left that they haven't revisited at this point.
No, I mean, there's talks. There was talks that season 5 would probably be the last one.
Yeah, it's Swank.
They are greenlit for season 5. Yeah,
right. And we don't know whose mother do we not know. Is it
Tori's?
Tori's.
We don't know Tori's father. That's what it is. We don't know Tori's father.
Right. Someone's missing a mom though.
Everyone's talking about also Mike Barnes, the return of Mike Barnes.
Barnes would be another point. Yeah, that would be a little weird, but that one would.
Right.
That would be funny if he just showed up and Daniel just beat him real quick.
Yes.
Like, kind of like the sword man in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But,
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, the big stuff about the show, Robbie giving insight into Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang working together. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all works. So that's the geek segment of the show. A lot of geek stuff going on lately for sure. Moving on now into football, going on to the sports side of things. It's another interesting week. A lot of teams that should have won didn't. A lot of parity in the NFL. The Packers came back to pummel the Bears 45-30 in a surprisingly high scoring game. And with the Rams holding on against the Cardinals and the Bucks holding on against the Bills, needing overtime. Only the second time, I think, in Tom Brady's career that he's won an overtime game with a touchdown pass, I think they were saying. And it's the first time in like 15 years that it's happened.
What does that tell you about overtime in the NFL?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on the overtime rules and how stupid they are. That's a fun point of contention. I still can't believe that hasn't been fixed in our lifetimes. The point is, I think now the Packers are the 1 seed, the Bucks are the 2, and the Cardinals are the 3. As the Cardinals don't hold any of the tiebreakers with the Bucks or the Packers. The Cowboys, of course, are the 4 seed, which at this point, they're only a game back of everybody else, as they also won. They beat Washington, also held on. Washington made a frantic rush in the second half to try and get back into that game, but the Cowboys held on. And now if the Cowboys win next week, they clinch the division. And that's probably what should happen as they're playing the Giants. So I don't think that'll be a surprise. Of course, my Giants were terrible. We'll get that into a second. Of course, the terrible tragedy up in Denver, Demaryius Thomas, former NFL wide receiver, Super Bowl 50 champion. He passed away suddenly and unexpectedly at the age of 33. a very touching tribute before the game as the Broncos only put 10 men on the field. They took a delay of game penalty. The Lions declined it. 88s, of course, were adorned all over Mile High. And the Broncos went on the roll over the Lions, which helps their playoff chances tremendously, but also a very touching tribute to their lost teammate and former player. And the AFC West in general is a logjam. The Chiefs won again, as did the Chargers. Again, the Chargers destroyed the Giants, and the Raiders lost as they continue to plummet. The Raiders are probably going to be out of it, but the AFC is a logjam as a whole. The NFC, you have 5 teams, I think, at 6-7 now, with the Falcons beating the Panthers. Or 6-7. Yeah, you have the Washington Eagles. You have the Washington. You have Eagles.
You have the football team,
the Falcons.
So
right, that's what it is. I realize it sounds like I'm saying Washington Eagles, but it's not the Washington Eagles. I know it's the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Washington football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Atlanta Falcons. New Orleans Saints are 6-7. I forget who the 5th team is.
So I will tell you right now, if the playoffs started today, they started today,
Washington's the 7th seed.
Right now, Washington is the 7th seed. The Eagles, though, with a win on Sunday, will become that 7th seed, assuming nobody else wins. But look, this is the playoff picture right now. In the AFC, this is 1 through 7, Ray. Patriots, Titans, Chiefs, Ravens, Chargers, Colts, Bills, if they started today.
Yeah.
Okay, that's today if they started today. In the NFC, Packers, Bucks, Cardinals, Cowboys, Rams, Niners, Washington. Amazing, Ray, that there's 2 NFC East teams in there. I mean that.
Yeah.
When you look at last year, now Washington, I think Washington, they just played the Cowboys. Yes, they just played the Cowboys.
Yeah, Washington just lost to the Cowboys. Yes.
Right. So actually, that might put the Eagles up there. I don't know. I'm on NFL.com.
No. I'm telling you, Washington holds all the tiebreakers
because they have the division lead, right? Yes, that's correct.
Right. But if you beat Washington, obviously that changes, and I think then you guys would become the 7th seed. I think you have the other
Washington Sunday. So if we beat them just by standings, we'll be in that wild card spot, assuming the Vikings don't win. So we'll see. It could change a lot of things. Obviously Eagles fans are rooting for the Cowboys right now. We need them to win out because we're not winning the division. But Eagles have a strong chance here. But that game on Sunday is going to be really big. The Bills loss hurts, but here's the deal, man. You went toe to toe with the Super Bowl champ, and it took overtime to decide it. I'd be pretty pumped up if I'm the Bills right now. I'm going to be pretty motivated. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're good enough to be in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens.
They are good enough, but the thing is they've also lost some really close games lately to good and bad teams.
Right.
So a moral victory doesn't mean anything in the standings. And
let's take a look
a lot of teams now are nipping at their heels. The Browns are now 7-6 and have the same record as them. True. The Bengals are 7-6 and have the same record as them.
Too. Yeah.
And the Broncos. So you have a logjam there in the AFC as well.
The Steelers tie is going to come bite them in the butt.
Yeah, the Steelers might miss the playoffs because of that tie against the Lions of all teams. As they found a way, as they lost again, they lost to the Vikings on Thursday Night Football, and their schedule does not get any easier. They're banged up.
Well, let's look at week 15.
Saturday. I just realized Saturday football starts this week. Raiders and Browns and Patriots and Colts are Saturday national Saturday games.
Right. So that's that's kind of good for the Bills. So the Bills can watch the Browns. They're going to know what they need to do. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
I'll say this: if the Bills lose to the Panthers on Sunday, the Bills aren't making the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to lose. I think they're in Buffalo. You got to take that loss to the Super Bowl champs and turn it into something. All right, because here's the deal. I'm going to look at the Bills' rest of the schedule right now. All right, so and I want to see if they're all big games, winnable games here, right?
Well, I know they play the Patriots after the Panthers.
Yeah, this NFL.com is incredibly confusing.
It's terrible.
Just so everybody knows.
The Titans, by the way, are playing the Steelers. The Titans should win that game, which would really be a huge hit to the Steelers' playoff chances. The Texans and Jaguars are playing for draft picks. Bengals are playing Broncos. That's a huge one. That's a huge head-to-head. Whoever wins that game could have the inside track coming up against, obviously pushing up, trying to chase down the Bills. But yeah, the Bills have the Panthers, they have the Patriots, and then I think they finished the season against the Jets.
You got to look at this. The Bills lost to the Patriots by a score. Then the following week, they lose to the Tampa Bay Bucks by a score. They have the Panthers.
Yep.
Must win. Right?
Yes.
Patriots, we'll come back to that. Falcons is a must win. Jets is a must win. So
yeah,
Patriots becomes a must win should they lose to the Panthers somehow.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is I'm going to say actually everyone, because of how the rest of the league is playing, I say Buffalo. The only way Buffalo makes the playoffs for sure, they have to win out.
Yeah,
they have to win out. Because I'm going to say this right now: the Bengals, the Broncos, they're nipping at their heels, and they play each other this week, so you know one of them is going to win.
Right.
They're right on their. They're right there, and the Browns on Saturday are playing the Raiders. That could probably eliminate the Raiders actually if the Browns beat them. It's in Cleveland, and the Raiders are playing terribly right now. And then there's the Colts. The Colts are 7-6. Right. I'll say this because the Colts could, the Colts could upset the Patriots. It's gonna be interesting. That's two very evenly matched teams, whether people want to believe it or not. Both very stout defenses. The question is, Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, versus Carson Wentz, a quarterback who just can't seem to get out of his own way this year. And really for his career, but this year is a microcosm of that. It's going to be interesting to see. I could see the Colts beating the Patriots on Saturday night. And if that happens, not only does it put the division back in play for Buffalo and really make the Panthers game a must win, but it really makes things interesting too, because then the Colts would be 8-6. And then again, whoever wins Broncos, Bengals, I'm going to pick the Bengals. I'm going to pick the Bengals. We're going to beat the Broncos. And then you got a couple of 8-6 teams and with the Bills there. So it's gonna be interesting to see this coming week of football for sure. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Again, like I said, the Giants are gonna lose to the Cowboys. Cowboys will win the division with that. Giants look terrible this week down in LA.
Yeah, talk about your experience. Talk about SoFi Stadium.
It's okay.
Really?
I mean, the outside is beautiful. It is an architectural marvel.
It does look beautiful.
Yeah. There's that giant ring inside that is a TV on the inside and the outside, which is a technical achievement.
Yeah, they have that in Brooklyn too, outside the stadium.
Yeah. No, but this is inside the stadium. This is cool. It's hanging. It's suspended in the middle of the field. Cool. Yeah. It was. Again, the Chargers don't have a fan base. It was 50-50, Giants fans versus Chargers fans. Not even saying the Giants fans travel well. It's just obviously there's a lot of transplants here. And again, the Chargers are still trying to draw a bit of that fan base away from the Rams. It's the food was good. I had a patty melt and some tater tots. That was good. The seats were comfy, if not a little cheap feeling. Everything is made of plastic with just cushions on it. Yeah.
Not
yeah. I mean, I'll say this. It almost it almost feels like a representation of LA, where it's real pretty on the outside and it's kind of cold and soulless and fake on the inside.
Wow.
So it's just I mean, it was nice, right? It was quick to get in. Parking was easy, typical LA traffic getting out. The stadium was, again, I'll admit this. I've been to more hockey arenas and obviously baseball stadiums than I had the football. I've been to old Giant Stadium and I went to old Qualcomm where the Chargers used to play in San Diego. Qualcomm was a dump. And Giant Stadium, obviously near and dear to my heart for I'm hugely biased. SoFi was so fine. It was just super fun. It was just okay. It was just
it's exactly what you thought it would be.
Yeah, it was just okay, it's a stadium. It's a functional stadium. Me in typical fashion, most of the people around me enjoyed my unique brand of commentary. There was one jerk who had to stick up his butt, but that's how it usually goes. There's one guy who's clearly looked like he was super corporate and was just there just so the ticket didn't go to waste. And he's like, "You're really irritating." And I'm like, okay, so let's go G-Man. And Then there was one guy who was kind of when yelling to the Giants go back to Jersey. And then I immediately turned around and yelled, what's the matter with Jersey? And he looked, and you could tell he crapped himself because he saw me with my usual intensity, and he realized that that was not the thing to say, and that he should win more gracefully than what he was doing. But yeah, so it was an interesting time. The crowd, though, for the most part, wasn't really into it. It was a bad football game. Like, the Giants didn't just roll over again. So it is what it is.
Well, I'm glad that you got to represent your team from New Jersey.
Yeah, I know we're from Jersey, but
I'm just stating facts, sir, that the name on the front is incorrect. But it is okay. That
I know
the
Giants
Jersey football
Giants.
Stadium.
And the New Jersey go back to Yankee Stadium. Been saying that for years.
Yeah.
Saying that for years.
But hey, listen, I'm glad you got to represent. It's always fun to watch you interact with foreign fan bases with aggressive negotiation tactics.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm very aggressive.
You're very aggressive.
Most people got a kick.
Yep.
Yeah. Most people got a kick out of it, though. Like, some people actually came up to me and like patted me on the back afterwards. Like, that was great. Like, I count them. It was, because
thanks for living up to
what was
stereotype.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, there was one point where like Herbert found a guy wide open on the sideline for like 12 yards. And I just yelled, "Oh, Herbert, I saw he was wide open too. Yeah, clear as day, buddy."
Yeah.
Like, hey, defense. And yeah, everybody in my section kind of they thought it was really funny. Most people thought it was funny.
I hope they heard you. I hope the Giants heard you. Were like, man, we can't get away from these idiots. Like, you're everywhere.
Yeah.
We're in a game.
No, I was also yelling that my resume is available on LinkedIn for the new general manager position that'll be open up at the end of the year. So
I would consider you.
I should be the new general manager. Can't do worse than the current one.
Well, no, not really.
No. But yeah, so that's football. A lot to look forward to with football this weekend. By the time we come back, we'll have some people clinched. The Cardinals, they won on Monday night. The Cardinals would have been the first team to clinch a playoff berth. Instead, now we might see several clinch this coming week, depending on how things go.
We did see a team eliminated from playoff contention in the Jacksonville Jaguars, and head coach Urban Meyer in a lot of heat after it's been revealed that he has basically treated his assistant coaches like crap, saying things like, "I'm a winner, you're a loser," and then demanding that they tell him why they should be on the staff while using the resumes. My goodness, sir, what are you doing with that old school crap that clearly didn't work? Let me tell you something, coaches. I have coached college. I have coached pro sports. This is a truth. I am not making this up right now. The difference between college and pro. In college, coaches are gods and the players rotate. That is why your message never gets old, because you have new players every 2 to 3 years. You have a brand new locker room, so you can do the same message for 40 years and do great.
Yeah.
You've seen this happen. It's Nick Saban. It is every great college coach from history. When you get to the pros, the players are gods, and you can get old very quick when a player has a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year career.
Yes.
We saw this with Chip Kelly. We're seeing this with Urban Meyer. We even saw it with Nick
Saban in the
when
pros.
He went to Miami.
The only pro college coach that I can think of that's had real long-term success in the NFL was Jimmy Johnson way back in the early 90s.
Right.
It doesn't usually happen. It's very rare that a college coach
and he was a player's coach from all accounts.
Yes.
All right. So
exactly.
I don't know what Urban Meyer was thinking. I mean, but this is a great way to tarnish your legacy. All right. And based in human decency, look, I understand I understand the stakes at pro level. You're only measured in whether you win the games. Like, a lot of the moral stuff can go out the window, but the moral stuff is what helps you win. So I understand that if you don't win, you get fired. I get it. I really do. But you have to build a championship culture, and that is not how you build a championship culture in today's game. Okay. Athletes are different. Coaches get older every year. The athletes stay the same age. And if you don't learn how to adapt, that's trash though, Meyer, to talk to your assistant coaches like that. These are people. All right. Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, no one's going to convince me with your record, number one, and that there are other coaches that are doing it the opposite way and winning, that you're doing it the right way. Go back to college. You should be fired immediately for that. I'm surprised they haven't fired you yet.
I'm thinking they're going to wait till the end of the year. I think he's a one and done. I think speaking to your point about his legacy, I think the Cons will be doing him a favor by letting him go after 1 year
and let him go back to college. That
yep.
is because they say he is a winner. Like there's no doubt.
Oh yeah, he's a great college coach.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of guys. We've said it before. There's a lot of guys who can coach the college level, but they can't coach the pros.
You are not a god in pro. The athletes are gods, and if you don't take that approach, you're gonna fail miserably. Chip Kelly came into the Philadelphia Eagles. I want it this way. I want it that way. This is how it's gonna be. Eagles completely collapsed. Collapsed. Doug Peterson comes in, wins a Super Bowl within 2 seasons. Yeah. Players coach, by the way. Also fell apart.
Players coach, former player, played for a long time.
Also fell apart. Probably going to get that Jacksonville job. Now I'm mentioning.
Actually, yeah, he could go down there. He could fix he could fix Lawrence real quick.
Right.
I will say this also. I forgot Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is another guy who went from the college ranks to the pro ranks and has
cheated horrendously to win, and then became a great coach in the NFL.
Yes, actually won his 150th game.
Yeah, he's lost his.
No, but they won this past week. They won. They're now 5-8. They're out of it, but they did win this week. They're 5-8. And Pete Carroll now is one of the few coaches to have hit the 150 win plateau mark as a head coach in the NFL. Wow. That's a very rare feat. Actually, I don't know offhand how many have done it, but it's not many. I want to say it's less than a dozen.
Coaching in the NFL? I mean, it's got to be
been about 10 years now.
Yeah,
it's been about 10. It's been almost 10 years.
Here, NFL coaches with 150 wins, right? Here we go, Ray. I'm bringing it up on the Google machine. Here we go. Are you ready? 20 NFL coaches have done it.
There you go.
That's not a lot, though. That's not a lot.
No, that's not. In the history of the NFL, the 100-year history of the NFL, no.
I'm going to name them all real quick. Mike Tomlin, still active. Steve Owen, that's a throwback. New York Giants. Joe Gibbs, that makes a lot of sense. 154.
Yep, 3 Super Bowls.
Bud Grant, the Vikings, 158. Mike Holmgren, several teams, but notably the Seahawks, 161.
Seahawks and a Super Bowl with the Packers.
Right. Yeah. Shanahan, 170, recently retired again. Tom Coughlin, 170, right? So, with the Giants, but also the Jags, right? For a long time. Bill Parcells, Tuna.
Of course. Yep.
A lot of teams there. Obviously, the Giants, the Patriots, the Jets, the Cowboys. Jeff Fisher makes total sense. Titans, Rams. Great coach there. Chuck Knox, 186. Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks have a lot of these guys. Dan Reeves had 190. That's a name.
All those years with Denver. Those great Denver teams that Chuck never won until he
Pittsburgh,
left.
Makes perfect sense. Marty Schottenheimer, 200 wins. Great coach, Kansas City.
One of the great, arguably the best regular season coach, but never could get over the hump in the playoffs.
Yep. Paul Brown, 213. Bengals coach. Andy Reid, still active, 226 wins. Came at a very heavy cost to him and his family, but he's done it.
Yeah.
Curly Lambeau, you guessed it, Green Bay.
Yeah.
226. Going, but now we're getting up there. Ready? Tom Landry, Cowboys, 250.
Yeah.
And then number 3, Bill Belichick, 285. He'll probably be number 1 by the time he leaves.
It's really close. Yeah.
Well, he's at 285. We got the bottom 2. George Halas, 318. Chicago Bears. Yeah. And then number 1, Don Shula, 328.
For all those years with the Colts and the Dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah, so 328 is the number. Belichick is at 285. Very doable if he decides to keep coaching.
Yeah, but so Pete Carroll is now the 21st man in NFL history at 150 wins. Sean Payton is 1 win away. He will be number 22. He's also active. But congrats to Payton again. To
congrats
Pete Carroll
to Payton too, who missed the whole season.
Yeah, of course. Yes, for sure. But the Pete Carroll. Obviously one of the few good college coaches to come into the NFL and do that. And again, no, on that list, not Jimmy Johnson, So again, not a knock on Jimmy, but that's obviously again probably before Pete, the last real good college coach that I can think of that went into the pros.
Right.
So, so that does it for the NFL. Moving now to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
We actually mentioned it briefly in the show. We got a big title match tomorrow night, which should be good. Again, I think that Hangman Adam Page retains. A lot of good stuff going on over at AEW. They continue to be absolutely the best wrestling program on television. WWE has not fired anybody this week, but did announce something that I thought was really interesting, and why I wanted to bring it up is because of we have been mentioning the WWE firings the last few weeks. They've now announced what they're calling their next in line program. And in an actually very smart move, kind of trying to develop almost like a minor league pipeline, they've signed a lot of college athletes, track and field stars, football players who aren't going to go pro, but who obviously have that size. Again, there's been a lot of great wrestling champions, as long as they can handle the microphone. There's been a lot of great champions. The Rock, Brock Lesnar, guys who failed out of the NFL or never made it to the NFL level, but were good college stars and who have gone on to have amazing wrestling careers. So the WWE looking to these pipelines, signing Olympic athletes, obviously guys like Mark Henry and Kurt Angle. There's a pedigree there. And so WWE has started this next in line program where they are signing developmental contracts to people who may not have a professional athletics career, but are obviously very, very athletic and could possibly become a professional wrestler. So it's sad that possibly a part of this is that they had to release dozens and dozens of veterans, but this could be a new WWE kind of like minor league system to develop the new superstar of the future bring them to the Performance Center before they go to NXT, and then before hopefully they get to the main roster, because it is clear now. Vince McMahon has made it clear NXT is AAA. Raw and SmackDown are the majors. He has made that delineation clear with his choices in the last few months, and taking advantage of poor Triple H being in the hospital. I wonder what Thanksgiving's like there. But Christmas,
right?
Yeah,
he walks in.
Yeah, goes right up to the turkey. This has been fired. It's been burnt to a crisp. Burnt to a crisp. Actually, he's been on TV a lot more lately, Mr. McMahon, which has been interesting.
I could see him walking at the holidays. Triple H, what? Play no L.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So, but yeah, Lee, any thoughts on WWE?
Noel.
Noel. Lee, any thoughts on the WWE Next in Line program?
No, not really. They're gonna start shuffling the deck in a good way, and like they got to find a way to be relevant again. And the battle's on, and I think the dust is settled now from the pandemic. They're waiting for the fiscal year to begin, and then it's going to be a slobber knocker for the next year.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. Good old slobber knocker. Yeah, so for sure. Good stuff there. By the way, just because you mentioned slobber knockers, also heart some thoughts and prayers go out to Jim Ross, the greatest. I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but if we haven't, I want to mention it again. The greatest play-by-play man in the history of wrestling.
Easily.
He's dealing with skin cancer right now. He's undergoing radiation treatments. He's expected to make a full recovery, but of course, thoughts and prayers out to Jim Ross, the great
get a break.
JR. Yeah, no, I know. A dude who's gone through a lot of trials and tribulations over his life, and always seems to keep bouncing back. And so, yeah. So again, he's had several. Follow him on Twitter if you haven't. He's giving updates all the time, and he seems to be doing well and in high spirits. But for those of you who don't know, that's why he's been off of AEW television lately. Is he's going through that and will be through the rest of the holiday season. So. All right, then. That brings us now to our mashup.
Nope.
Hockey. It's a good one.
Hockey, you skipped that. You skipped it.
You want to talk hockey? Okay, what do you want to talk about with hockey?
No. You're not going to introduce my segment like that. There's only one thing I'm going to bring up. Actually, it's not really hockey. It has to do with the media around hockey.
Okay.
I want to talk about how desperate the hockey media is for news. Last week, it was reported that the Arizona Coyotes were going to be taken out of their building in Arizona because they owed, ready for this, Ray, $1.8 million. I'm reading this. Every hockey outlet, they're going to get evicted. $1.8 million. I'm sitting there like, it's 1.8 million. They're gonna pay 1.8 million. Oh, you're gonna get evicted. This is how they love to stir the pot. There are players on that team making more than $1.8 million.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. They could, and by the way, they did. They just paid it off. It wasn't a big deal. Like, oh, sorry, and they paid it. Literally, that's how it happened. Now, if they said $1.8 billion, that would be a different conversation for sure.
That'd be a story.
Right? But like,
big difference.
Stop duping what is it with you, hockey media? You're just so desperate for a story. You had a guy last night score one of the greatest goals I've ever seen. I'm not going to get into it. I promised Ray. You got great actions. The New York Rangers are fighting for the top of the league. You got great storylines. Connor McDavid is unbelievable. Ovechkin's chasing the goal record. And the hill you decide to die on is the Arizona Coyotes owe $1.8 million. What are you doing? Stop. Moving on.
I mean, look, it's been something that's been going on for forever, is that hockey coverage has not been very good.
No, it's ESPN's doing a great job. No one wants, that's how you know they're doing a great job, because no one's complaining about it. ESPN has been doing a great job. There's been no shortage of hockey stories this year. It's actually in a really good place, to the point that they're trying to find crap to make this happen. All right. But truth is, Ray, hockey players are very respectful people. They're usually high quality people except for, moron Kane. Who I don't remember. I'm trying to erase him from my memory. Not Patrick Kane, obviously.
Evander Kane.
Evander Kane, moron. Outside of him and a couple other people, those hockey players are good people. We should be celebrating that. Of course we don't, because it doesn't get ratings.
Yeah.
Although I think there is a way to do that. It's been proven on my other show, Win. We had Ryan Whitney on this week. That's a selfless plug. You should check it out, Ray. I know you're very proud of me for that. I appreciate that. Number one hockey podcast in the world that came on my show. Thank you, Ryan Whitney, for that. We need to do better. We need to do better, hockey media. We don't have to stoop down to that level, not to mention insulting the fan base and hockey fans. A lot of you bit on this story,
including me.
Yeah. I mean, 1.8 million. I mean, it's a lot of money, Ray. Don't get me wrong. All right. But
I mean, if I had 1.8 million, I might retire.
Yeah, that's yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm from a everyday person. That's a lot of money. In NHL standards, not a lot of money.
It's nothing. It's
not to mention, you think the NHL wouldn't flip that bill?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
There's a multi-billion-dollar industry and league. I don't know. I got annoyed. I kept reading that, people freaking out. I was like, what are you guys? They're going to pay it. It's not.
No, I admit, I only saw the headline and didn't look much into it.
If it only said evicted, sure. Like if it only said they're going to get evicted, I get it. But here's the thing. As I've reported on the show before, the Rangers have been evicted from Madison Square Garden several times. They always pay it off.
True.
Okay. So when they're literally saying $1.8 million, I'm sitting back, people, did you see this? I was like, what's the big deal, guys? Come on. This is an easy one.
Yeah.
So anyway, Arizona Coyotes will remain in Arizona. They're already talking, they would go to Kansas City. They could go to Houston. They could go to Quebec. They're not going anywhere. Stop. Okay. The Coyotes actually have good fans, people. Okay.
But a terrible arena.
Totally agree with that. But they have good fans. They have a culture there. This is such a thing of people like, well, I would move them there. Stop it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be displacing a fan base like that. Like, stop. NHL,
but it happens all the time in sports.
It's unfortunate. Let's be honest. The NHL is one of the most progressive leagues out there. They have done it. They've expanded. They are the second league to get to 32 teams. They've done more internationally than anybody else. All right. I will not get into the Bettman conversation right now. He is not as bad as anyone thinks. No one can fight me on that. No one has successfully ever fought me on that. You just hate him because you're supposed to hate him, which I think is a weak ass argument. Be perfectly honest with you. The guy has done arguably more for hockey than anyone ever. Yeah. He's also done a lot of bad things for hockey.
If you're still holding on to your hate from the lockout, it's time to grow up.
Get over it. The league is way bigger than it was before the lockout because of him.
Yes.
And get this, it's his implementation of the salary cap that saved it. So get over it.
Maybe baseball should learn something from that.
Baseball's not going to learn anything from that because baseball's got their baseball bats so far up their batting cages that they wouldn't even know how to hit a ball if they had the right ones, which they don't know they have anymore because they're using two different balls all the time. Just before we get to the mashup, one question here. Andrew, our hockey friend, my friend, what are your thoughts on the Oilers' recent skid? What are my thoughts on the Oilers' recent skid? Andrew, the Flyers just lost 10 games in a row. So I haven't been looking out to Edmonton at all. No, joking aside, Flyers came back, they won. Every team goes through a skid. It always happens. The good ones recover. The Oilers will recover.
The Rangers are starting to go through one now. The Rangers are about to drop the 3 out of their last 4. They're about to lose to Colorado. Like it happens. Like it
Listen,
can come down to earth.
I've read a great book one time, Ray, called Win. All right. It's called Win, How to Create a Championship Culture for Your Organization. I think that's the subtitle. And in that book, the author writes about all these championship teams that went through losing streaks during their championship season. It's in chapter 7 or 8, I believe. I don't remember.
Lee, you're the author.
I have a copy of it behind me. You know, hold on, Ray. Hold on. I'm gonna get it. Andrew wants to know. For those of you listening, for those of you guys who are statisticians, stat people, you'll like this. I have this book here, Win. It's available right now on Amazon. I'm not gonna lie to you, Andrew. You might actually really enjoy this book. For those of you watching, front cover, that's James Ferrara, the captain of the team I coached. The author's name backwards is Sally J.M. Eel. You can figure that one out. All right, Ray, I'm going to go to this chapter because I think you'll actually enjoy this. We don't get to reference books too much on our show anymore, Ray. I love this. Yeah, I'm there, Ray. I'm there. It's in a chapter called Adversity, which wrote this a while ago. Adversity, page 91. All right. These are teams that have went through slumps and won. All right. And I think you'll enjoy this. 2015-16 Pittsburgh Penguins. 3-0 start to the season. 1-6-1, 5 losses in a row in December. Result, won the Stanley Cup. Ray, 2013-14 LA Kings, 1-4 streak in November, 5-game losing streak in late December. Went 1-9-0 over 10 games in January. Result, Ray, won the Stanley Cup. What's the next sport you want me to go to? NFL? How about NFL? 2012 Baltimore Ravens, 1-3 end of the season. Result, won the Super Bowl. 2011 New York Giants, 1-5, 4-game losing streak during November and December. Result, Ray,
Super Bowl.
Won the Super Bowl. 2009 Saints, 0-3 end of the season. Won the Super Bowl. 05 Steelers, 3-game losing streak before winning last 4. Won the Super Bowl. 2001 Pats, 1-3, won the Super Bowl. NBA.
Just a couple years ago, St. Louis was the worst team in hockey come January 1.
Ray, I got a lot. You ready for this one? 95 Houston Rockets, 3-game losing streak in November, 3-game losing streak in January, 5-game losing streak in March, 3-game losing streak to finish the season. Result, won the NBA championship. Ray, you like baseball, right?
Yes.
This was my favorite one to write. 2016 Chicago Cubs, 4-game losing streak in June, 1-9 June into July. Had not won the World Series since 1908. I wrote that in here. Result, won the World Series. 2000 New York Yankees lost last 7 games of the season.
That's right. Backed their way into the playoffs.
Result, Ray.
World Series champions. In fact, that Yankee team, if I remember correctly, only lost 2 games the whole playoffs. We swept.
Dominant.
Then we won 4-1 in the ALCS and 4-1 in the World Series. 11.
I got 2 more for you. 2002 Anaheim Angels, 3-12 to start the season. Won the World Series. Last one, got to mention this one. Not our favorite team, but 69 New York Mets, 1-6 in April, 5-game losing streak in May, 4-game losing streak June, 4-game losing streak July. Result, Ray, won the World Series. So, Andrew, as it says in the book, if you're going through hell, keep going. I'm Lee Elias, the author of this book, Win. You can get it on Amazon. It's this is the favorite book that I've written. 4 books. This is the favorite one I've ever written until the next one comes out in February.
There you go. There it is. So, yeah, Lee, Andrew, Lee's not saying that the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup, but that they will be perfectly fine.
It will be fine.
Most likely.
Right.
Most likely. So also real quick, I know you wanted to mention it. I'll let you mention it. The John Tortorella, who I'm a big fan of, is an old man who yelling at a cloud. He's an old man yelling at a cloud. Yeah. Lee called it. We mentioned it last week briefly. I think, Andrew, you were the one who actually brought it up in chat. The Sonny Milano goal after Trevor Zegras
did a
flipped
Michigan pass behind the net in front. Incredibly creative play. Incredibly creative.
Yeah. And Torts, of course, went on an old man rant, be like, I missed the hitting in the game. I remember the physicality.
He said that he doesn't know if it's, he kept complimenting the play and then said, like, I just don't think it's good for the game. I just don't think it's good for the game. Like, here's the truth, is that the problem with this, if there is a problem, is that a lot of young players spend too much time practicing very low percentage plays.
Yes.
Right? As that play's only been done once, it's a very low percentage play. It's the most low percentage play. So while it's fun to be creative and practice these things, it totally is fun to do it. If you're spending 80% of your time practicing that play, that's a mistake. You need to get the fundamentals down. You need to get the high percentage plays down first.
And then maybe once or twice, maybe once take a shot at a Michigan or something.
Like, here's the deal. The hockey needs that kind of stuff.
That kind of creativity. Yeah.
And here's the deal. The only way to make stuff like that happen is to be creative and try it. So, the Michigan's happened a few times now in the last few years. Yeah. Is it a spectacle? Yeah. Sure. 10 years ago, would you have been punched in the face for that? Yeah. But that's not the way the game is anymore. And that's okay. That's okay. These traditionalists, you got to let it go. That side of the game's gone. And I think the fact that people can pick a puck off the ice and do something like that is amazing. I don't think you're going to see it every night, but then again, you don't see a drop kick every day in football.
That's also true.
That is also true.
Yes. And that does it now for the sports section. That brings us now into the mashup. It's a good one that Lee came up with. Speaking of, we talked about It Takes Two as game of the year earlier this in the episode. Again, not my game of the year by any means. Nowhere close. Expect a full write-up next week. You can see it on my Facebook and my Twitter and my Instagram.
I'll be sure that on Geeks Who Like Sports.
Yes. What two athletes would you like to see in a co-op video game? For me, this is very easy. There's only one that comes to mind.
Oh, yes. Just one? I have a lot.
Well, I mean, there's several, but there's definitely the first one that comes to mind for me is Shaq and Barkley.
I would have done Shaq and Kobe. But Shaq's on
during their prime, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I think that I like it because they're so different, Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Barkley would just be like, this is terrible, man. You just got to try harder. This is terrible, man. You just got to try. Hey, here's some icy hot. Terrible. I've been in a video game before. Me too. What game? Yes. Space Jam.
I think it'd be funny. I think they'd have a lot of fun. I think they'd have some fun.
I like Kobe and Shaq together. I think that would be good. I think Jordan Bird is another good one since they've
for sure. Together. Jordan, yeah.
All right, I think Gronk and Brady would be a fun one.
Yeah,
I think that would be really fun. Actually, I'm thinking.
Yes,
Gronk, come on. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, Tom. Yeah, in those relationships, it's interesting because it's just you're gonna have one. Well, not Jordan Bird so much, but I definitely think with Kobe and Shaq, and I think with Brady and Gronk, you have that natural leader.
Yeah, I'm going to throw another black and white one in there is Gretzky and Messier.
I was thinking of that one as well. Actually,
they're hilarious. They're opposites, but they're the same. It's amazing. I can't think of a baseball one, but I would like to see Kurt Schilling with any of the Yankees.
No.
No, just because it would be hilarious.
Maybe
the hatred flow through you.
Yeah, a lot of hatred.
The bloody sock.
Yeah. I mean, like obviously modern times, like Anthony Rizzo and Freddie Freeman, like those guys are clearly very good friends, on different teams. Because that's why, if you remember, there's, but you don't really have
Tommy and the Babe. It sounds like a game.
Well, no, that doesn't sound like a game. But I mean, you'd have to go back to like the Bash brothers, like Canseco and McGuire.
That would be a good one,
right?
That would be a good one.
Yeah, or Sosa and McGuire. Like
the story's really easy. They have to get to the doctor in time to get their injection. They have to find a way. That could be a good one. They deserve it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Bonds
so I mean, there's a few.
Barry Bonds by himself in a co-op game. He just doesn't go anywhere.
I've got two controllers. I got two hands. I can do this. I'm coordinated enough. I can do this.
Chuck Norris and the Dragon, Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Bruce Lee. That would be.
The problem is no enemy. I mean, you're basically invincible in that one.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Chuck Norris is weird.
There you go. I was thinking also you go to wrestling, then you go to the great tag teams.
yeah,
You go like the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
You go like,
I'd like to see
Briscoes,
like The Rock and Stone Cold. I mean,
Rock and Stone Cold would be
Yeah.
fun. Yep.
With the optional Triple H.
Kane and Triple H
Kane
potentially as an
Undertaker,
instant.
yeah.
Kane Undertaker,
With
yeah.
Paul Bearer just running around. I'm look.
I made you snacks. Who wants Mountain Dew?
If we're talking the Attitude Era, top two wrestlers at that time is The Rock and Stone Cold, right?
Yes.
And then I think right after that you've got Triple H, HBK, right? Like Undertaker. Undertaker's always in his own level, little world.
Yeah. I mean, you could put the Undertaker into any era that he wrestled in, and he'd be top 5.
Yeah.
Mick Foley's up there,
right? Mankind, and yeah. But I'm just saying the top 2 would easily be Stone Cold and The Rock, and they had some great matches, but like they didn't have that Mankind versus Undertaker
off top of the cell.
Interesting. Anyway, that was a good matchup. Easy answers, but fun to talk about. But we want to know
for sure. Know what you think.
Never in sync with that. It's great.
No, we never get it quite right, but it's close enough. Everybody knows what we're talking about. We do want to know what you guys think. Please, if you can, comment below. Obviously, if you're watching this on Facebook, or if you're on Apple Podcasts or something, leave a comment, leave a 5-star review. Those things kind of help just a little bit. But yeah, obviously on our Instagram, on our Twitter, comment, let us know what you guys think of the show. Let us know what you guys think of the topics. Let us know, let us know what you guys think, and chime in. We always appreciate the candor
and the feedback. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for listening.
Yes.
Next broadcast, bit away. Let's see. This podcast gonna have to hold you probably till next. No, it's not gonna be the 17th or the 24th. It
might.
Last week of the year.
We might not have a podcast until right before the new year. So we'll have to.
Wow. Ray, you've ruined my day. Way to go.
I am sorry.
No,
I mean, and actually, we didn't talk about this, but with producer Caitlin on vacation after this, we might need to wait until the new year.
Wow, that's 3 weeks. That's too long, right? I don't like it.
We'll have to figure something out.
We can edit it if needed. We'll put it that way.
Yes. We will discuss. What's going on and figure it out. But stay tuned. We will be back at some point. But we will remain active on social media. We're not going anywhere from there. Of course, I will be back. This is actually, tomorrow is my last Twitch stream for those of you who are live for a while as well, playing the Halo Infinite campaign. Briefly mentioned Halo Infinite campaign. I mentioned it last week. I bashed the multiplayer campaign, infinitely better than multiplayer this year. Like, I am really impressed with what they did with the campaign, but it's still not game of the year to me. But it's better than I was thinking, at least at that point. But yeah, so if you're listening to us, stay tuned. We will be back. We shall return. But in the meantime, have a happy holiday.
Yeah,
potentially a happy new year as well.
Yes. Happy holidays.
So enjoy the time off. And then we will be back fresh and ready to go, rip-roaring, ready to go with tons of reviews, news, previews, all that other fun stuff that we do here at Geeks Who Like Sports. But until then, for Lee, I am Ray, and this has been episode 136 of Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.